Hi developers, let's learn how to automate the creation and configuration of resources on the cloud using Terraform. With Terraform, we can deploy to Microsoft Azure, to Amazon AWS, to Google Cloud, to Oracle Cloud, and even on-premises. In this video, we'll see the sample of deploying an app service with SQL Server instance and a database. And also we'll take the case that we want to deploy to different environments like the dev, test, and production. And in each one of those environments, we want to change the configuration that we want to create, like the app service names, for example, because those ones should be unique for each environment. And maybe also we want to change the offer we use for the app service. So for production, we want to use the premium offer, but on dev environment, maybe the basic offer is enough for the sake of the dev environment. So we'll see how to parameterize the Terraform configuration by using the variables.tf file, where we can put all the variables that we can use later from the main Terraform template. Let's learn how we can use variables and outputs with Terraform configuration files. Here I have a sample Terraform configuration. This will create a resource group, app service plan, and app service. And for the resource group, here I'm telling it in plain text which is the name of my resource group. The same for the location, and the same for the name for my app service plan and for my app service. But what if now I want to create dev, test, staging, and production environment using the same Terraform template? So in this case, when I try to deploy this twice, it will generate an error because it will try to connect or to create two resource groups that have the same name. The same, I want to create 2 or 3 app services that uses the same name. So what we can do here is that we can change this name when we deploy to staging, then change it again when we deploy to production, and so on. But this is lots of manual tasks to do. And we have a good solution for this. So what if we can parameterize this template? So instead of writing the value here, we can have another file that contains those different files. And that's what we'll be doing through the outputs or through the variables file. Here I'll move to another main.tf, and note here we are not specifying the value in plain text, but we are referencing to some other variables defined somewhere else. So here I have a variable for resource group name and another one for location, and so on. And I can do the same for the app service name. Those variables are defined inside variables.tf file. This one contains those different variables. It contains the default value for this variable and a description for when this value should be used. So here I have one for the resource group name and one for the location. And when I want to use them, I just go to say $, then var dot the name of that variable. And here, because I have already installed a plugin for Terraform, actually I can access those different variables. If I click var, then dot, and hit control space, then here I get the different variables that I have created. So with this, we can substitute those variables or those values with the ones specified inside the variables.tf. And we can have different variables.tf files, one for dev, one for production, and one for staging, for example. And each time we use the command Terraform apply to deploy the template, we can specify which variables to use. So that's one way to configure or to parameterize our templates. Terraform also provides another thing called outputs. This one enables us to get, for example, the IDs of the resources that we want to create. And it also enables us to get the values that will be generated during the deployment of the resource. As I mentioned, like the ID or the app service, the default site host name, and lots of other configuration that's only generated when we deploy the resource, not before. Now before deploying this template, I want to here go to the variables and create a new variable. For that, I'll copy this one right here, and I create a variable for the app service name, for example, and I'll call it here Terraform app service. And the description, I'll say this is the name of the app service. And if I want to use this variable, I just copy its value, or actually I don't need to copy it because I can access the value from here. So here, instead of using this plain text, I'll go to say this should use the $sign, then I'll use var, and from here I can access the app service name. So I'll put it right here. Now let's try to deploy this template. For that, I'll go to my terminal and I'll make sure that I have AZ installed and I'm already logged in to my Azure subscription by confirming the email that I want to use. Then once I'm already logged in, now I should have, or I should use Terraform to deploy the template. For that, there is here a guide that shows you how to install Terraform on your macOS, Windows, or Linux machine. Make sure you have Terraform installed, and to check that it was installed successfully, you can type the command Terraform, and here you will get the different commands that you can use. So let's start by initializing our Terraform configuration by typing Terraform init. So this will download the Azure ARM plugin with its different providers, so that those will be used by Terraform in order to connect to my Azure subscription and deploy the different resources described in the Terraform files. This will take a few seconds. Let's wait for it. Once that's done, now I can clear this and move to run the command Terraform plan. So this will scan my Terraform files configuration, and it will detect which are the resources I want to create. So it detected that here I want to create app service with the name as configured in my variable files, and I want also to create the app service plan and the resource group. At the all, I have 3 resources to add, nothing to change and nothing to destroy. To apply this configuration, I'll use Terraform apply. So this will connect to my Azure subscription and it will deploy those configuration. But before doing that, because that's considered as a dangerous operation to do, maybe I have in that configuration to destroy some resources, so that's dangerous to do. For that, here it will give me again which are the changes I want to make, and it gives me an overview of those changes, and it will ask me, do you really want to apply those changes? I say yes, and then here Terraform will start making those changes to reach the desired configuration state that I wanted to be applied on my resources. And now once all the configurations are done, from here we can see the outputs from those configuration, which is the app service default host name, This is the URL of my app service created on Azure, and I also have the app service name. So I can go to open that URL in a new window to see that I have now my app is up and running on Microsoft Azure. And if I go to my Azure subscription, right here, if I go to see the resource groups, I'll be able to see the resource group that we have specified in order to create the different resources. And that's Terraform resource group. And here I can see my web app and my app service plan. So this was how we can use variables in order to substitute the values specified inside the Terraform configuration by putting those variables inside another folder. That's the variables.tf. And we saw also how we can use the outputs in order to get the computed values. Those are the values that will be generated by Azure when deploying the Terraform template. And now when we are done with our resources, we can go to clean up those resources. So I'll go to use the command Terraform destroy. This will check what are the resources that should be destroyed. It is checking my Azure subscription, and here it tells me, do you really want to delete those 3 resources? I say yes, and now Azure or Terraform will start deleting or destroying those resources from my Azure subscription. And now if I go to my Azure subscription, hit refresh, I can see that now those resources were deleted successfully. And at the end, you can see all the 3 resources were deleted. So now coming back to my Azure subscription, if now I come back to the resource groups, hit refresh, then now I can see that the Terraform resource group were deleted. I hope you liked this demo on Terraform, and remember you have the code source for this demo available on this GitHub repo, and make sure to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my videos where I post regularly about cloud and DevOps. So thank you.